Please don't read that bio. Oh God.
I have to say something about you.
Okay.
And you sent it to me. Don't be embarrassed. This is about you. I'll make it funny, okay? Want the funny
Please
version?
try. Yeah,
Okay.
try.
Hey, Facebook people, on my page and on Jamie Roberts' page, this is your chance to get to know who Jamie Roberts is, you guys. Read it. Oh, sorry. I have to tell you. He has performed at the Apollo Theater. Do you know they won't even let me clean the bathroom at the Apollo?
Cut it out. Cut it out. Cut it out.
I know, right? He had a TV reality show. My whole day is about reality. I go to reality shows to forget my reality, and he had a TV reality show. I want to go watch it. I need to escape reality right now. Anybody else? Let's go see his reality show. How am I doing, Jamie?
You're doing good. You're doing good, Linda.
He had it with his then he's available, you guys. His then his then girlfriend, now wife. Oh, yeah. Crap. I should have read this ahead of time. Nikki Sunshine. I know that name, Nikki in New York. Everybody loves Nikki Sunshine. If you don't, you need your pulse checked. Nikki Sunshine called A Question of Love on the FYI Network. A Question of Love on the FYI Network. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. He hosted and produced the longest running Sunday show in New York City called Sunday Night Live, which I've heard of in Oregon. Yeah.
Word?
So now we have him here. I don't know where the hell he put Nikki Sunshine, but he better bring her out here.
She's in there in the kitchen making some dinner. That's what.
I'm listening. I can smell it from here. Welcome to the stage on Comic Spot, you guys. Jamie Roberts.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Linda. Thank you for having me.
No problem. I'm so glad that you're here. I just want to know, where did you grow up? How did you find out you're funny? That's really important to me. I don't know about anybody else.
Well, I grew up in Long Island, Amityville, Long Island. I was born in Brooklyn, then my family moved to Long Island. Raised by my mom, youngest of three boys. And, I grew up in a humble home. Everyone was funny in my household, though, from my grandmother all the way down to me. Everyone had jokes all the time. We would always crack jokes around the dinner table, around Thanksgiving. My cousin Mike and my brother Terry used to tease me all the time. That's how I kind of got fast with my wit, how to be able to come back quick. Because from a young age, they would tease me about everything from losing in Monopoly to striking out playing baseball, in the back. It was a little bit of everything that kind of groomed me into the guy I am today on stage. And I found out I was funny in high school. I was a little funny in junior high, but high school, I was a skinny guy with glasses. I was called Urkel, everything you can think of underneath the sun. That's who I was. I was a praying mantis. I was a turtle without the shell. I was everything you can think of. And so I had to find a mechanism to, defend myself besides fighting, because who wants to do that, right? Yeah. Not when you're the skinniest kid in the school. But, I used to play sports, but being funny kind of helped me get through. It kind of helped me battle the lunchroom rituals of surviving high school. That's what we called it. It was the survival world. And for 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th period, my junior and senior year, I had free, meaning those periods are free. And we would sit in the lunchroom or around the school, wherever it was, and we would just do what we call breaking on one another, meaning we would just joke on one another all the time. And that's how you got sharp. That's how you sharpened your skills. You had to be funny. And if you came in the lunchroom looking any kind of way, you would leave with your feelings hurt. And no one was off limits. I mean, from teachers to hall aides to the lunch lady, everyone you can think of, the principal, everyone you can think of caught the heat, because we had nothing else better to do at the time. Why don't you go to the library? We'd go to the library, they would kick us out because we would have too much fun. So they would send us back to the lunchroom, And at that time, we were allowed to leave school grounds to go to lunch and stuff like that. So it was fun. It was a good way to actually, sharpen my skills. I really didn't take it to the stage until after college. And then, my brother challenged me one day. We went to Boston Comedy Club. If I don't know if you ever heard of Boston Comedy Club.
A lot of greats have come out of there.
Yeah, a lot. And we saw some people on stage that night. And, there was a guy up there, I don't even remember his name, but he was bombing. And I was like, I can do that. And he was like, yeah, I dare you to do it. So at the time, I looked in this publication called Backstage, and they had a contest for the funniest person. If you believe you're funny was the article read, if you believe you're funny, call this number. And it was called Stand Up New York, the comedy club Stand Up New York. So I called. They said, all right, so, what are you doing? I was like, well, it's my first time really performing. Don't have any real material. So it was like, well, okay, well, we have a contest. Where are you from? I'm from Long Island. Okay, well, we have this contest called The Funniest Person from the Suburbs. So I said, what is this about, right? And so they said, all right, you got to write 10 minutes. Doesn't have to be clean. It doesn't have to be raunchy. 8 to 10 minutes of material. Bring 10 people. It was a bringer show. Bring 10 people, and, we'll get you on. So I wrote material, got 8 of my friends to come out to see me perform. I ended up winning the contest.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was like from there, I was like, yeah, this is fun. This is fun. My guy, Dan Levy, I don't know if you know Dan. Dan's out in California, writing television shows.
Wow.
He actually hosted the very first time I got on stage. He'll never let me leave that down because I did some horrible jokes that night. Because you were new, some horrible jokes that night. But it was a lot of fun. I caught the bug. He saw that I liked it, and so I became the funny black bringer comic. And that ran amok for about, I would say, about 8 months. 8 months of me doing comedy, bringing random friends out to see me do comedy, and then you burn through all your friends who've seen your horrible set. And then one time, this other producer / comedian, he was horrible as a comedian. Even to this day, if I see him, I'm going to let him know how horrible of a comedian he is. I don't remember his name. He was just horrible. But he was a booker because he was booking the Bringer show at Stand Up New York. And I remember I didn't recognize what type of comic I was. I didn't understand that I was the bringer guy. I didn't understand that I was the cash cow. Like, oh yeah, this guy brings 15 people. He's got to get on the show. So one night, this is my last bringer show I did, by the way. Maybe I should make mention of that. One night, we were there, packed house, and I was like, hey, do you have a lineup? Do you know what I'm going on? I started learning the lingo. So I was like, hey, do you know the lineup? Do you know what I'm going on? So I, get ready. He was like, well, you only have 6 people here. Talk to me when the other 4 get here. And he just like turned his back to me like, yo, I don't have time for you because, your dollars aren't in my pocket yet. And so when your dollars get in my pocket, that's when I can talk to you. And I said, I looked at him. I'm 6'3". He's about 5'4", 5. No, he's about 5'6". And I forget how intimidating a black man can be in certain situations. So, I said, what? And he said, yeah, you talk to me when your other 4 people get here. And I was like, yo, F you, right? Totally. And so I got my 6 people who was in the crowd. They already saw 2 comedians. They had their drinks. I was like, yo, let's go. And he's like, what's going on? I said, yo, let's go. I'm not performing tonight. This guy, I don't like the way he's acting. I don't like the energy. We out of here. Yep. And they was like, no, Jamie, don't worry about him. I was like, no, I'm not performing tonight. So if you guys want to sit here and watch the rest of the show, you can, but I'm leaving and I'm letting you know you won't see me on the stage tonight. Yep. So they got up, they paid for their drinks. Yeah. And I don't even know who was on the stage, but excuse me for doing that, whoever was on the stage at the time. And we were walking out and the guy was like, oh, he said, you'll never fucking work here again with that type of attitude. So I said, oh, all right, cool. So I took heed to what he was saying, then I learned the business. So what I started doing, I started hanging around other comedians who had shows. I started figuring out how the world of comedy worked. I read Judy Carter's book of how to run an open mic and how to actually start putting money in your pocket and how to produce shows and how to work with other comedians who are well established and, your writing and everything that you need to do in order to move yourself up in the chains of comedy. So I started doing the quote unquote Chitlin circuit so I could get in front of different type of people. I started performing in front of more Black people, more Latino people, not just an all white crowd on a mainstream night. I started doing the late night shows at some of these clubs. And then I got burned out because I was like, you know what, I'm doing all this for what? I'm a college graduate, I'm an accountant, I'm out here burning the candle at both ends. It's tax season. I'm not leaving the office to 8:30, 9 o'clock. Then I'm going to go try to do a show. Then have to get up again, travel back to Long Island. It was crazy at the time. So I said, let me take a second to really think about how to do this, reevaluate it, how I'm going to attack it, and put a plan in place. And that's what I did. So I learned that how you really get to know an audience is hosting shows. How you really get your material out is really hosting shows. So a good friend of mine, his name is Talent, he started allowing me to host the New Jack section of the comedy show. So the New Jack section, for those who don't know, is when the newer comedians perform before the professional comedians perform. So at the time, it was the Improv, which is now the Broadway Comedy Club. Sunday nights, he had a show, 9 o'clock. So I used to rush there between me and my guy, Chuck Burks. We used to rush to get to the Improv in hopes of hosting the New Jack section. If you didn't host, you did 5 minutes. If you hosted, you were able to do 4 minutes up front, bring up the comedian a minute or so in between each act. So you had more time. Everybody wanted the host. So I started learning. Him and Kenny Williams would pull me aside literally when I get off the stage, tell me, all right, you do this, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you did this wrong. Make sure you get the name right. You got to make sure you get the name right. And then in between them coaching me, the guy's running off the stage because he's bombing. So I got to go back on stage, try to clean that mess up and then keep the show going, bring up the next comedian. So I did that for about a year. And then I started running my own show. And it's, comedy is part being funny, part being lucky as well. And I lucked up because I was doing a show at New York Comedy Club at the time. And Jo Mary, who was a waitress there, I always say thank you to Jo Mary because she gave me the reins to my own show. She was running Latino Laughter, right? At New York Comedy Club in a small room at New York Comedy Club. And she was burnt out. She was tired. She didn't want to produce it anymore. She didn't want to book it anymore. And I said, hey, I can do it. I'm not Latino, by the way. So, and so she said, you sure you want to do this? I said, yeah, just tell me what is the mechanisms? How does it run? How do you prepare? What do you do? So she said, all right, come back here on Thursday and I'll give you the rundown when she was working again. So I went back on Thursday when she was working. And I kind of like shadowed her. I was at the bar when she was making drinks. She would tell me things, writing notes, because I was still, a student of the game. I still am a student of the game. But I was, heavy into, I got to make sure I get it right, that type of thing. And so she said, all right, so this Saturday, come by. I'll show you the show so you can see the show for what it is. I said, all right, cool. It's a show. No big deal. I get in there, and it's all Latinos in the crowd. It's a mixture of Latinos and Black, maybe some scattered white people who couldn't make it into the main room. They pushed them into the smaller room, right? And each comic is funny as hell. And I'm like, wow, this is great, because I was used to doing bringer shows. And I don't know if you're familiar with bringer shows, but half of those comedians are not comedians. Someone told them they were funny at Christmas dinner, and now they're out here doing this, And so, it was great. I met a lot of people doing Latino Laughter, but I started producing it now. So now it became my show. My dumbass forgot I had to book Latino comedians. So I started booking I started booking people who I knew. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you want to do my show? I got a show. What show you got? I got a Saturday show at New York Comedy Club, one of the best well-known clubs in New York City. It has New York in the name, New York Comedy Club. You can't miss it. And I think the first 2 weeks were the most, were the rockiest weeks of producing a show for myself, because I was producing a show and I was hosting it. I was hosting it too. So the people coming into the show expecting to see a Latino show was not only disappointed by the host, who wasn't Latino, speaks no Spanish, was also disappointed by the acts that were on the stage. So Joe Mary called me maybe about 2 weeks in. It's like, listen, what are you doing? I was like, what do you mean? I'm producing a show. Thanks, it's working out great. She's like, no, it isn't. We're getting complaints. It's Latino laughter, Jamie. You got to book Latino. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know. I'm sorry. So I started going through my Rolodex of who is Latino, who isn't. I had to ask other Latino comedians, can you recommend some people for me? But it kind of opened my eyes to another culture of comedy, you know? And I met some great people. Angelo, you know, God bless the dead, Angelo Lozado, good guy. He did the show. Victor Cruz, Imagine, all of these guys who had their own little niche in the Latino community about being funny. They were comedians, but they were comedians in the Latino community. But they all showcased on Latino laughter. Before I was there, I had no idea, you know? I'm thinking I'm doing them a favor. Like, dude, we've been doing this show before you even thought about comedy. What are you talking about? You know, of course we do it. A guy named Ozzy used to run the show before he passed away. He used to run the show. And then, you know, I started running it. And then I started, you know, just learning the culture of comedy. Started learning how one hand washes the other. Started learning how, you know, yeah, comedy is one thing, but auditions to get on TV is another thing. You know, there's other ways of comedy. You could be a writer. I didn't know this stuff. You could be a warm-up comedian. I didn't know any of this stuff. You know, I was still learning the business of comedy. And you'll be surprised, a lot of people will not tell you this. You know, they're not going to tell you, hey, guess what? There's an audition for a warm-up for The View. No one's going to tell you that. You know, it's just, you know, oh, I'm done doing it. I'm tired of doing the warm-up, so let me put my friend on now. This person's hilarious. I think you'll enjoy them. Here's this person now. You know, there's no real audition for that position anymore. They used to have late night, and I started producing shows, right? So I started realizing that people were running their set. I didn't know what running your set meant. So they would come to my show and run their set for late night, meaning, hey, I got an audition. I need to run this 6 minutes. I need to run this 6 minutes. It has to be clean. I got to run this 6 minutes. Oh, yeah. You want 6? That's all you want, 6 minutes? I wasn't thinking. That's all you want, 6 minutes? Yeah, I'll give you 6 minutes, no problem. And then, you know, a month or two, you see them on, you know, on Leno. I'm like, oh, what is going on? You know, this guy was just at my show. He did the same exact set on my show. He was on, you know, and then it starts coming together. You know, you start figuring it out like, oh, so these guys got agents. That's how you get on TV. Oh, okay. I thought the producers for the Tonight Show and the Letterman Show was coming to these clubs and picking people out. No, they're not doing that anymore. They're sending their aides or whatever, and you gotta send in the tape. Now it's a, you know, a clip from YouTube or whatever it is, and that's how they select it. But from doing all that, I got married, my first marriage. Then I stopped doing comedy altogether. I just became a family man. I had a child, my first son, my only son, my first child, and I moved to Atlanta, stopped doing comedy altogether. I started doing comedy again down there because I missed it at this place called I forgot the name of it. It was down off of it was down
called Alzheimer's.
Huh? Yeah, it's kicking in. It's kicking in. And then we moved back to New York, right? So at the time, my wife wanted to move back to New York after she finished school. So one of the things was, if we move back to New York, I'm going to do comedy again because I miss it.
Yeah.
That was one of the things. So she was like, okay, yeah, if you move back, anything to get back to New York. So got back. We moved back to New York, just starting to get familiar with everything again. So I said, all right, I'm gonna start, going out and performing again. She had a problem with that because now we had a newborn. He was 2 years old at the time. And so daddy's leaving to do comedy at night, coming back early morning. She's up with the baby, all types of stuff, right? And so, it's either us or comedy. I mean, wait a minute, it's not us. It's either you and me because the baby's still mine, or comedy. So I picked comedy over my marriage at the time, and it was a pretty good decision, I would say, because it kind of opened my eyes up to the type of people who you need to associate yourself with. And then when I moved back up to New York, that was 2008. Yeah, 2008. I called Al Martin, right? Al Martin was the owner of New York Comedy Club at the time. And I said, hey, I want to produce a show. And Al remembered me from doing Latino Laughter. And so he said, what are you thinking? I said, I want to do a Sunday show. Sundays, Jamie, why Sunday? No one's coming out. We don't have anything going on a Sunday. We only got an open mic. So I said, all right, well, if I get some asses in the seats, then it's a profitable night. Well, I got to pay the wait staff. He goes through the whole thing. And I was like, okay, well, let's just see how it goes. First night, great night. Second night, 10 people. Third night, canceled show. So 3 weeks in, I canceled the show, right? Fourth night, so this is the fourth week. We had about 8 people. Al Martin called me on Monday because it was a Sunday. He said, hey, Jamie, I heard, I'm getting the numbers in. It's going a little low. What do you say we do this monthly? And I was like, no, we're going to do this weekly. We got to do it weekly. Yeah, we got to push it. I don't care if I got to give tickets away. We're going to get people in there. And so I started reaching out to people. I started finding different ways to promote. Started getting flyers, handing them out in Times Square. We had our own street team for it. And it just started to grow. It started to grow. And that was the beginning of Latino Laughter. I started that show with a person who you had on here prior, with Tino, Esteban Romero.
Tino, yeah. #Romero. Oh my gosh.
So that's my guy. He actually, I'm going to tell you how I met him. So when I got burnt out from doing the Bringer shows in New York, right? I said I was going to do my own show. So I called Al Martin back then, and he said, you can have the small room at New York Comedy Club on a Tuesday, right? So I said, all right, on a Tuesday, all right. He said, how many people do you think you get? I said, maybe, 30, 40, 55, 56 people showed up in that small room, right?
That's the one when you walk in, it's on the left.
Correct. It's an alley. All it is an alley. That's all it is, right? So about 55, 56 people showed up. My opening act bailed on me. When I mean bailed on me, I'm calling, no one's answering the phone. He's not even returning text messages. It was so bad.
He ghosted you.
So bad, he didn't reach out to me until about a week and a half afterwards, after the show, and apologize and everything. I'm like, yo, forget about it, man. So before that show, I'm in there. I'm calling him. I'm hearing Tino speaking to Joe Mary saying, yeah, man, I was here all night. They didn't even put me up. I was here all night. They didn't put me up. No chance, I'm here busting my ass, but, and they didn't even give me a chance to get on stage. So I said, hey, you're a comedian? He said, yeah, I'm a comedian. I said, you want some stage time? And Tino, huh? Stage time? Me? You serious? I said, yeah. You want to do some time tonight? I need you to do some time. He said, oh, man, please, I appreciate it. Thank you. And Joe Mary was like, yeah, go ahead. You can do the time. I can finish doing this. And so Tino used to have his stuff in the basement of New York Comedy Club. So he used to go downstairs and change and come back upstairs into a different person. So I said, all right, this is all you have to do, Tino. I just need you to open the show, welcome everybody, do your time, and then bring me up on stage, right? And this tape is somewhere floating around somewhere. I have to find it because it's still hilarious to this day. So he's doing his horrible 5 minutes. It was horrible. And I'll tell him if he was on his Zoom right now, he knew it was horrible. He was doing a horrible 5 minutes up front. And then he forgot my name. Because we just met. We literally just met. So he forgot my name to bring me up. And he was like, all right, guys. So I'm going to bring the guy up on stage who you came here to see. Give it up for, yeah. And I walked up there. I was like, this guy forgot my name. I realized he forgot my name. So I just walked up on stage like, oh, this guy's the worst, man. Give him a round of applause for even trying. And I was like, you forgot my fucking name. I'm Jamie Rouse, blah, blah, blah. But that's how the friendship between Tino and myself grew from that moment. He's always been a good guy. Always been a good guy to me, man. We actually used to live together one time in Brooklyn in a house that had no water.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's a whole nother story.
I lived in Brooklyn, and I had landlords that rented me the place, but their daughter didn't want me there. And she threw urine in my face one night in the dark because they turned off the electricity trying to get me to leave. I didn't know the urine was coming at my face.
Hell no.
Oh yeah.
Hell no.
I know Brooklyn.
Yeah, we were living in Canarsie.
Tell me about going on Apollo, please.
Oh, the Apollo was great. This guy named Mr. Bob Sumner. I don't know if you heard of Bob Sumner. He was one of the producers of Def Comedy Jam. So he does this thing at the Apollo called the Apollo Comedy Club. It was once a month. He would run it for 10 months of the year. And he had me host it. On the show with me was Mark Gregory, who's Dick Gregory's nephew. Oh God, I got the poster downstairs. I done forgot who was on the show. Oh man, you said Alzheimer's. You're absolutely right. Oh man, Alex Babbitt. Actually, Alex Babbitt's birthday. Yeah, happy birthday, Alex.
Happy birthday, Alex.
And Pretty Ricky is her name, from Jersey. And so, Bob.
Pretty Ricky. Who is that?
She's a comedian out of Jersey, New Jersey.
Okay.
So my wife, Nikki Sunshine, performed at the Apollo, right? So it's upstairs at the Apollo. It's not the big, it's showtime at the Apollo. That's what I thought it was. It's not that. Upstairs, it seats about 250 or so. Still a nice room. It's still the Apollo. You walk in, your name's on the marquee. It's like, it's like a dream come true. So Nikki was performing, so I went to go support her. I've known Bob in passing, comedians know producers know comedians. And he was like, hey man, he was like, we gotta get you up here. Sometimes people are drinking, sipping, they're just talking, So like, yeah, come to Hollywood, I got you. All right, yeah, that type of talk. But he kept his word, he called me, he was like, hey, let me know if January, blah, 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 forgot the date, works for you. I was like, what do you mean? He said, for the Apollo, let me know. I said, hell yeah, it worked. I didn't even check my calendar. It didn't make a difference. Yeah, it works. Is Jesus coming back that day? If not, I'm there, So that turned into like maybe the biggest show I've done, because so many people would go by the Apollo and take a picture and send it to me. Because, it's in Harlem, and Harlem is, the capital of New York City. I don't care what they say. But, it's on a major strip, so everyone would see that marquee, and it's in heavy rotation throughout that month that it's going. So people were like, oh my God, I just saw your name on the marquee at the Apollo. And people were sending me pictures of it before I even saw it myself. So that was like, it was mind blowing that actually happened. That and I'd say that, and when I headlined Caroline's was probably the two biggest shows that I've done.
So tell me how it went at the Apollo, and tell me how it went at Caroline's. Those are huge things.
Those are huge venues. The Apollo was great. The reception was amazing. I saw childhood friends that I haven't seen, in years that came out to support it. Just the energy in the room is just, they got a DJ on stage. It feels like a real produced, TV show, but it was just, that's how comedy is supposed to be. You're not supposed to be battling audience members and you have the mic and they're screaming at you. You're up there, do a job. They're there to receive the jokes. They know why they came. They didn't get tricked in Times Square into buying these tickets. No one told them Chris Rock was going to be there. You know, they came to see you and everyone else who's on the bill, you know, which is the beauty of it, because you have truly genuine fans there. And then you can make new fans, hopefully, if you're funny, by the people being there as well. And just to say you're at the Apollo, you know, it's like, whoa, you know, like, what? What did you just say? Yeah, I'm at the Apollo Thursday night. Yeah, you know, yeah. And I rode that high for about a month or so. And then I realized, your ass got to get back out there and keep working. You better go back and do these, you better go back and do these $50 spots, because those Apollo shows ain't every day. You know?
Tell me about Caroline's.
Oh, Caroline's is amazing, man. Caroline's came at a very good time for me, because you know, comedy is up and downs. You know, everything's not, you're not always on a high. And at the time, I was out of a bad relationship. I can't say, I was just out of a relationship, right? And I was down and out, drinking too much. Didn't have a job. I was doing comedy full time because I just got laid off. That's what happens when you get laid off. You say, yeah, well, I'm doing this full time. Oh, you got a job? Yeah, I'm a comedian full time. No. You got to put in full-time hours to be a full-time employee in order to get full-time pay. So right now you're trying to live out your love of comedy, right? So at the time it was my brand manager was telling me, Tanisha, thank you, Tanisha Tate. She was telling me, you got to get out there. You got to get out. You got to pull yourself up. You're funny. I see all these people working. You got to get out there. You got to get out there. I said, all right, yeah, I'm going to try. So she said, what do you want to do? I said, I got to get into a bigger club. I got to get my name out there again. I need to be on a bigger stage. So she was like, what about this? What about that? And I was like, nah. She's like, what about Caroline's? I was like, no, I never even thought about Caroline's. And so Caroline's had this thing called the Breakout Artists series, meaning Caroline's felt as though you were funny enough to do your own show, headline your own show. They would pay you to headline your own show. You got to pick your own opening acts, and they make it a whole big production for you. But they had to believe in you that you were able to do it. And so I was like, well, I don't know too many people over there. Louis, he knows me, but he doesn't know me. Not too many people over there. I've done shows, but I don't know. Put my name in a hat, and sure enough, they called me. They sent an email, actually. They sent an email confirmation. And that day I got that email confirmation. I had $18 in the bank. I was flat broke. $1,800 in the bank, and my rent was $2,100 a month at the time. So, unemployment, it was what, $453 a week? Doing comedy shows. My Sunday Night Live show was bringing in maybe $200 a week. Not even a lot of money, because, the club wins every time. And then you got to pay the comedians. So I was barely making it. That's basically what I was saying. I was barely making it. And then when I got the call that, hey, yeah, we want you to do Caroline's. I was like, what? It was like, yeah, we want you to do Caroline's. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then from that point on, that whole year was just magical, I would say. You know what I mean? It just turned everything around. So
how long ago was that, Jamie?
Excuse me?
How long ago was that?
That was 6 years ago.
Wow.
6 years ago. 2014.
Since then, what all's happened in your career?
Well, I'm gonna get to that. So, I was still doing comedy full time all the way through then, right? And so my brand manager told me at the time, she said, hey, listen, I'm not going to be able to manage you full time anymore. I'm getting ready to take on a job at the new radio station in New York City. And I was like, what's the new radio station in New York City? There's no new radio station. She's like, yeah, there's a new R&B station called Radio 103.9. I'm going to be working over there. So I said, all right, well, your last job for me is to give me an interview. Give me an interview there. I don't care what it's for. Give me an interview. So I went in there for an interview for a promotions job, right? I'm a college grad. If you know anything about promotions, usually college students picking up, boxes and handing out, gift cards or whatever it is at at events. That's what promotions teams do. They set up the step and repeat. They break down the table. They hand out, gadgets courtesy of the station. So I went there, was an accountant for 15 years. It was like, listen, you're overqualified to be promotions. I want you to talk to the sales manager. I said, all right, I've never done sales before. I went and spoke to this guy. His name was Jonathan Mason. And I went back and spoke with him for about a half an hour. And he was like, hey, if you want the job, you can have it. And I was like, what's the job? He's like, a salesperson. And I was like, well, I don't really do sales. He's like, well, you're a comedian, right? I was like, yeah. He's like, well, you sell yourself on stage every night. And I was like, you know what? You're absolutely right about that. So I went home, did a little bit of research of what the position entailed. And then I took the position. That was in September 2014. Now, backtrack a little bit. So the actual show, Caroline's that I headlined, right? And I had the picture. It's a picture of me. There's a picture of me in front of Caroline's, right? Pointing at my poster. Behind me is D.L. Hughley's picture, right? And I met D.L. Hughley a week before performing at Caroline's. I ended up working with D.L. Hughley at Radio 103.9 because he was doing the afternoon show from 3 to 7, the D.L. Hughley show on Radio 103.9. Further the conversation, he didn't know it was the same guy he met at Caroline's because, it's two different hats you have to wear, corporate America, comedian, but the beauty of radio is that they allow you to be who you are. If you're a comedian, you're an entertainer, there's entertainers and all types of people walking through these doors every day. So I ended up working with DL for 4 years. 4 years. So he would do his show, not in a New York studio every week, but maybe once a month because he was always traveling. And I would get a chance to sit down and talk to this man, who I consider one of the best comedians of my lifetime, and pick his brain, just understand who he was and just see him work. It was such a blessing. And then I later became the sales manager for Radio 103.9. So I started off as an account executive and I became the sales manager. So now I'm sitting in meetings with DL trying to figure out how we could sell him more, how we can get him more to New York. And it just shows you, like, you never know where you're going to wind up at. You never know how it's going to pan out, And the hard work, that's all it is hard work and persistence. And I told you, it's a little bit of luck. A little bit of luck will get you somewhere, but you got to be prepared. You have to be prepared. That's putting in the work, whether it's open mics, whether it's writing groups, whether it's just, getting on stage to perfect your craft. You got to put the work in.
So what are you doing now?
I'm doing a number of things. So I'm still working for a radio station. I work for Omega and Amor, which is the Spanish-speaking radio stations. I'm still performing comedy. I'm married now to Nikki Sunshine, my better half. We have a brand called Married and Funny. We just dropped an album that came out last week with a couple other couples on it. Married couples with Vicky Cooperman, Max Cohen, Tom Cotter, Carrie Louise Cotter. I'm forgetting other people. I'm sorry. But, so we've taken a brand, Married and Funny, have kind of like pushed it out there to the masses. And it's picking up. We do videos. You can find it on our website, marriedandfunny.com, or you can find it on Facebook and Instagram. But
will you get me some of the Married and Funny people on here, like all of them at the same time?
Nah, you don't want that.
Okay, you and your wife.
Yeah, you don't want all of us in the room at the same. We all don't want to be in the room at the same time.
You and Nikki. I want you and Nikki.
Yeah, me and Nikki will do it. And that's how Nikki and I started really talking, is because of Caroline's. So at Caroline's, she left a gift bag for me in the green room. So before the show started, she went in and she put a green bag in, a gift bag in there, just a card. Good luck for tonight. I seen you've been going around the different clubs, working your time out. I see you doing, the open mics. Good luck. And we were always just friends, So, that's nice of Nikki. Didn't think anything about it. That was nice of her. And then that October, that's why I said 2014 was magical, because that October is when her and I, October really started. We had a show at the Producers Theater that my guy Toxie put together, and I was hosting it. Nikki was on the show, and so we're talking, drinking in the green room as comedians do, little flirting going on, and she was like, "Hey, how are those kids of yours?" And I was like, "Oh, they're good." And she's like, "Let me know if you want to have another one." I was like, "Oh, where are you? You talking about me and you?" I was like, "All right, cool." So we started texting back and forth, flirtatious texts and blah, blah, blah. And so we finally went out on our first official quote unquote date at this place called Trax that was in Penn Station. And I met her after work in my suit, because I used to work right upstairs. The radio station was right upstairs, Two Penn Plaza, and I came down and met her. And we just started, kicking it, as they say. We started dating, and then we became serious, and and then that came into boyfriend and girlfriend. We were a couple, but we weren't telling, the rest of the comedy world. They can figure it out on their own. We were exclusive with one another, and then we weren't. We weren't putting it out there that we were moving forward in our relationship. And then we landed a reality show. So, we were trying to figure out how can we get, more FaceTime together. And Nikki applied to this thing called, A Question of Love. We didn't know the name of it. They had us go on as couples. So it was couples. It was 3 couples. It was 10 shows that ran on FYI Network. And, some of the clips are on our Married and Funny page. And the concept was that we had to live together. Someone moved in with the other person for 30 days to see if they can survive their life for 30 days and see how the outcome would be. At the time, my mom was living with me and my kids. I had my kids. I had my son the majority of the time. My daughter would come every other weekend. And so she moved in with me into our apartment. It was a 3-bedroom apartment. It was enough space, but it wasn't enough space. It was 3-bedroom, 2-bath, but it wasn't enough space. And they documented everything. I mean, it was cameras in the bedroom, cameras in the living room. It was Big Brother, and it kind of it forced us to have the tough questions early in our relationship. Like, what's your credit score? How much money do you plan on having when you want to retire? How much money do you have in the bank right now? How much do you make a year? These are questions people don't ask when they're dating. You're just dating. You're just hooking up with somebody. Oh, I don't care. I'll be safe. You don't really think about the next steps in your relationship unless someone asks you those questions. And so we literally had to sit across from one another. The questions were written by the producers, and we had to ask each other these questions in a round table type setting. And then they would document us, at different activities that we would do. But it helped our relationship. It really did. It really did. And we still sit back. She cringes at some of the stuff that she said back then. And, it's funny to me, but it helped. It helped. Yes. And, that kind of, that was the whole Questions of Love. We repurposed some of that last year when right before we were getting married. So we got married last year. So just
wonderful. And congratulations on having a son out of this marriage, and congratulations on the marriage and making it work.
Okay, thank you.
You've got so much that you have actually accomplished. Congratulations. Everything. It's hard.
Not enough, though.
Oh my gosh, how long have we've been at this? Almost in an hour, and you're not even up to 2020 yet.
We've been at this for an hour?
Well, wow. 7 more minutes.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I guess I talk too much. Huh? You have to say a word.
Tell me, it's too interesting to interrupt. Tell me what's happened since then, and how can I promote your social media? Anything you're doing.
Yeah, well, since we got married last June, and then we ended up going on vacation. Our honeymoon was a workcation because we got booked to do Jamaica last year. Last July, we were in Jamaica in the grill, and that was amazing. So that our honeymoon was, we both did the comedy show. We both hosted events there, all inclusive. It was amazing. That was probably one of the best vacations I've ever been on. A lot of fun. a lot of drinking, of course, and just relaxation because we work so hard planning the marriage and you know the stress of marriage, and you know it was just a lot. But from there, we've grown the brand. We've started our own business, a radio station. We've built a home studio for Nikki because she's a voiceover actress downstairs in the house. You know, this COVID-19 has really taught us how to be self-sufficient. You know, how to adapt. Because if you don't adapt, it's survival of the fittest, right? Darwin's theory: if you don't adapt, you die. You know, so you have to be able to maneuver in this world, this new world that we're in now. And so my thought process is, all right, we're doing stuff like this, like Zoom. You know, I got a contract with AARP to do Zoom shows for AARP through July. You know, the Wednesdays in July. So it's more of figuring out how to fit in, but still do what you love to do, which is perform, which is comedy, which is to direct, which is to act. We have a short coming out called Couples Therapy, produced by Loretta Lee Smith. It's a short film that we did with her back in December, and Rhonda Hanson was the director of it. So, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot that we do, but it's fun. You know, when you love what you do, it's really not work. You know,
Yeah.
it's just something that you're doing. You know, it's just something that you're doing. But then to backtrack, we did what is it called? We did Love's a Joke comedy tour, and that's where the album was birthed by Vicky Cooperman and Max Cohen. Thank you both for that opportunity. We went up to Laugh Boston Valentine's Day weekend. We had 2 sold out shows. Great. It was great, man. They treated us like royalty up there. Laugh Boston, if you haven't been, it's a great staff, great club. They were one of the only clubs I saw put out a message about Black Lives Matter and how they're behind the whole the whole movement of stopping violence against African Americans in this country. So I salute them for that, because they could have caught a lot of slack. You know, Boston has been known to be a racist town, but you know those were the days back then. You know, as Archie Bunker would say, those were the days. You know, but you know it's changing, and hopefully people are not afraid to have these conversations anymore going forward, and make it in a better situation for everyone, so no one's uncomfortable in the room. You know,
exactly. No one.
But through comedy, I believe, you know, you have the power. I have the powers to make everyone feel comfortable. You know, see your opinion. It may not be one that they agree with, but hopefully it's funny enough that they can understand it. You know,
Exactly. Opening up eyes and hearts.
correct.
So I have a question for you as we're heading on out. I want to know if you will type on Facebook Messenger everything that you're doing so I can get people to get behind you.
Everything?
Every single, it's too much for me to write it down and get it accurate. But if you type it, I'll cut and paste it to 14,000 people.
All right, we'll do. I'll do that for sure. But if they want to follow me, it's Comedian Jamie on Instagram, Comedian Jamie on Twitter, and Facebook is Jamie Roberts, Comedian Jamie Roberts. You can find me. So I'm not on TikTok. I don't do that. I'm not on Snapchat. I don't do this. I think you got to be under 30 to be allowed to use those services, right? Is that how it is? No, I don't know.
I have no idea. But even where you just said Comedian Jamie and Jamie Robert, whatever you just said, I'm going to screw that up. So do me a favor and type it, and I'll add it to this post right away.
Will do.
Thank you. Wherever Nikki Sunshine is, would you please tell her you both have to come on here together and talk.
Will do. We love doing stuff like that. Yeah. She always has a difference of opinions when we telling the stories of how we met and how we got together. But
that makes it even funnier.
Yeah, we'll be able to do that. Whenever you have us, we'll appreciate that. Thank you so much, Linda.
I'll get right with you on another date.
Okay.
All
right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Jamie.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Loved it. See you later. Bye.
All right.
Everybody's